like to call the Committee of the Whole meeting to order, June 8th, 2026 at 4:30 p.m. First order of business is disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. It can be declared now or anytime during the meeting. And we are privileged to have a delegation today, the CAO Manuela Bottavanja, Township of Hornpain, and she's going to talk about small northern new residential property tax class. Manuela, nice to see you again, even though I can't see you. There
Good evening.
Go.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Hello.
Nice to see you as well.
And you have roughly 10 minutes to do your presentation. So the floor is yours.
Perfect. Am I able to share my screen?
We can see you.
Can you see my presentation?
No, but we have it on our laptops.
So can I can share at the bottom, Sue?
Oh, yes, we can make you, we've made you the host, so you can put it up on the screen.
Let me see. Are you able to see it now?
There you go. If you go full screen.
Yeah, I'm just, do you have it?
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for allowing me a little bit of time with you this evening. I wanted to talk to you about small northern new residential property tax class. It's not in existence yet, but I'm really hoping that working together, we can achieve that goal. For those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Manuela Bottavanja. I was born and raised in Atikokan. It's my history with Atikokan, or my family's history with Atikokan, that really made this proposal close to my heart. So you may remember my family. My Uncle Mike worked at Kayland and my dad worked at Steep Rock. My mom had Lily's Beauty Salon for many, many years on Main Street. And I think a lot of you would know my cousin Tony or my cousin Mira. So that's my history with Atikokan. And it's because of what happened there in the 80s when the mines closed that I started thinking about how the North changed and what we can do to try to make it a little more prosperous in the future. So what my proposal is to request an amendment to the Assessment Act to add a small northern new residential property tax class and subclass. So again, a little bit of background. A lot of the northern towns were built in the 50s and 60s, much like Atikokan was. There was a lot of closures throughout northwestern and northeastern Ontario in the 80s, and the population moved away. Some people moved west, some people moved down south. I looked at the stats today, and in its peak, Atikokan had a population of 7,800 people, and today I think you're about 2,000, if I'm not mistaken. So I believe what's happened in Atikokan, same as what has happened in Hornpain and many other small towns, is we're stuck with a lot of vacant land. This land is serviced. There's water, there's sewer, there's electricity, everything we need. Just it's either vacant or has dilapidated houses on it. Nobody wants to move to the north to build because our tax rates are too high. So just for a quick example, I looked at your tax rate, and in 2025, it was just 0.038, just under 4%. So on a $150,000 assessment, your taxes would be approximately $5,700 a year. On a $300,000 assessment on a new build, that tax would be $11,000. Nobody wants to pay a $300,000 mortgage and a $12,000 tax bill. Pardon me. So what I'm asking of everyone, not just you, so the Minister of Finance, I'm asking them to implement this tax. From municipalities and townships, I'm asking you to pass a bylaw or a resolution to adopt this bylaw once it comes into effect. But until it comes into effect, I'm asking you to reach out to the Minister of Finance and through a resolution supporting this and asking them to implement this small northern tax. So it's meant for towns with populations under 5,000. Pardon me. Allergy seeds. So township definitely fits the criteria. And what it would do is allow you, if somebody was to come in and build a home, to reduce the assessment or the rate on that home by whatever percentage is feasible for your town. So for Hornepayne, it might be good for us to reduce the residential rate by 40%. In Atikokan, it might be 30 or 20 or 50, whatever your council deems most efficient in order to encourage building in your community. So it's unique to each community. It works very much like the new multi-res. So for industry, it enables growth in the town so that industries can grow. If you can't attract people, it's hard to grow your business. And it reduces reliance on temporary camps. That's also expensive for companies. And I think it's important, most of all, I don't like the migration, and I'm sure many of you don't like the migration of workers from the south to the north for a week or 2-week period, and then back down to the south or out to the west. Although we did it for many years, it would be good if we didn't have to do that and if we populated the north again. So some of the challenges that this amendment would address is housing shortages. Obviously, we would build more houses, high residential property tax, so it would make it more feasible to build new homes in Northern Ontario. Industry accommodations. So again, a lot of these bunk houses, Atikokan is not experiencing this right now, but if a mine was to open within or near the boundaries, you would see this. Bunk houses are built usually just outside the boundaries, so there's not a big tax impact for the town, but there is an impact on all of your resources being used. So they'll come in and they'll use your roads, they'll use your water, they'll pay a small nominal fee for that water, they'll usually negotiate it, they might use your airport, but all these services that they're using is taking life away from your assets, but they're not replenishing any of that through taxation. Expected outcomes, so increased feasibility of new home construction, so more homes, greater housing supply in Northern Ontario, the attraction and retention of workforce for industry growth, population growth broadens municipal tax base. So if your population grows and people are building houses, your assessment base will grow and you'll bring in more taxation. Signal of provincial commitment to the north. So it would be nice for the province to not just say we believe in the north, but just to really put some thought, some policy behind the north. So this is not costing the province anything other than a few man hours to implement, but it would make a big difference for the north. So what we're asking from the province is to amend this Assessment Act again to create a new class and subclass for the north for towns with populations under 5,000. For municipalities, once that Assessment Act is changed, we're asking you to adopt bylaws setting the tax rates. That will work best for you. Prior to that, we're asking for resolutions of support to be sent to the Minister of Finance, to the Premier, Minister of Northern Development, any of the Northern ministers. And again, Minister of Finance, that is the most important one. That is the ministry that changes the Assessment Act. That's where we really do need it to go. Municipalities, again, to pass a bylaw to adopt the small northern new residential property tax class, and business and industry to use the new property tax class to promote workforce attraction and retention to the north. And that's really it in a nutshell. I will stop sharing and take any questions that you may have.
Sure. Does anybody have any questions for Manuela? Yes, Councillor Knowles.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. Great presentation, Manuela. My question is just, and I will preface this by saying I fully support this. Have there been any dialogue with northern communities who would fall outside of that population boundary to make sure that there's support from them as well, just so we're not creating any sort of different kind of, I don't know what the word you want to use, this kind of class divide?
I have not reached out, but I have gotten support. So I've been advocating for this for almost a year now. I started at AMO last year, where I pulled I pulled Minister Bethlen Foley aside in the hallway because I couldn't get a delegation. So I made sure I had his attention. And he gave me his card and said, "Send it to my people, we'll talk." And I did, and it started the ball rolling. So I have been sending it everywhere and to everyone, and I have gotten supporting resolutions from municipalities that have populations above 5,000.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, which is great. The other point of information that I should probably share with Mayor Ferguson and Council is when we were at NOMA in Thunder Bay, I spoke with MPAC, and because I've been such a pain in the side of the Minister of Finance, they approached MPAC and said, "We want you to test the data of every municipality that supported this through resolution." So MPAC did, and it came back positive. So it came back positive today with the assessments the way they are, and they tested it should MPAC reassess, and it came back positive in that situation as well. So they've said this will work. We've proven it. We need to move forward. So what I really need is as many resolutions of support to be sent to the Minister of Finance. I believe it's finance.in Ontario. I'll send it to Sue. She has it, or it's probably in the resolution. It might have been in the presentation. I can't think of it off the top of my head. But the Minister of Finance and the Premier is really who we need to get behind this.
Jason, do you have a comment or question?
Question, Manuela. Thank you for the presentation. So I understand Hornpayne has a pretty robust community improvement plan, which also offers some rebates. What's the advantage of going with an optional rate class versus the CIP program?
The maximum you can do the CIP is 10 years. In 10 years, you're still going to, it's 10 or 15. Most people will still have a mortgage. Some people are pretty aggressive and get out of their mortgages quicker than that. But I find historically people have mortgages for anywhere from 20 to 30 years. I'm asking for a 30-year commitment from the government with this new class. So it will get you out of your mortgage and then into a regular tax rate.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Yes, Councilor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. Thanks, Manuela, for this presentation. It's a good thing for the North and for small communities. You hit the nail on the head when you were talking about the bunkhouses being built at mines and mining communities. I've seen it time and time again. You know, a bunkhouse gets built to build a mine, and it's only supposed to be temporary, but then there's not enough houses in the community, and the bunkhouse stays opened, like you said, outside the tax base. And so yeah, this get a head start on this stuff and get some houses built. It would really catch on probably. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great to see you at NOMA.
Yes, thank you. Likewise to all of us. I saw many of you there, and that was great. To the clerk, Sue Bates, I have provided her with a resolution. So I'm asking council, mayor and council, to please consider that resolution and pass it if possible. If you do, please forward me a copy.
Great. Any more questions for Manuela? I've got a couple. Oh, I've got a couple. I hope I didn't lose you. Is this is there something retroactive? Is there a retro clause in something like this? Because we've had people that built a few years ago, and would they miss out on this, or would they have would the town have the opportunity or option to go back a few years for new builds?
I did not ask for a retroactive clause. I think that would be difficult to implement. And then you're clawing back taxes that have already been paid. Yeah, I think really if you're able to build more houses, even if they're bringing in lower taxes. So again, back to the math in this, if you were to build a new house with an assessment of 300,000 and Atikokan, just to round it off, that would be about 12,000. If you did a 50% reduction in residential tax for new builds, it would bring it down to 6,000, which would be almost what 150,000 assessment is paying. I think your median is about 5,700, so it wouldn't be far off your median. The difference is if you got 10 houses built at 300,000, you've increased your assessment base by 3 million, and now you're probably holding, if not slightly reducing, everybody else's taxes.
Yeah, because we have empty lots that we're getting zero for right now. So
that's right.
if it's an option or opportunity to encourage people, I think
Yeah.
it's great. I got one more question too, is this just residential buildings? Or did you include something such as a hotel, a new build store or anything like that?
I did not. It's only residential. I think that's really what you need. You need not you as in Atikokan, but the North. The North really needs population to grow. 95% of the population of Ontario is in the GTA.
Yeah.
So 800,000 people live in Northern Ontario. We're the province with the largest population. 800,000 live in Northern Ontario. Of that 800,000, 400,000 live in Thunder Bay, Sudbury, Sault Ste. Marie, and Timmins. So 400,000 live in the multiple little towns throughout Northwestern and Northeastern Ontario. It would be nice to at least double that 400,000.
Great. I agree.
Yep.
Okay, any more questions for Manuela? Okay, seeing none, it was great to see you again. Thank you. We've been talking about this for the last year or so. So it's great that you could provide this for us and speak to it. And I'd just like to congratulate your community. It's a very progressive community on looking for opportunities. So good for you, and thank you for this information, and we'll have a discussion on it after for sure. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you're not too late. It's a beautiful day here. I'm hoping it's the same for you there.
Thank you.
Okay. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Okay, we'll move along to Committee of the Whole reports, and the next is Administration and Employee Relations, and it's CAO Young, Public Washroom Facility, Splash Pad, and Downtown Projects.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. Attached in the agenda is my report and a supplementary report from Crescent Engineering. So as we talk about the splash pad project and the downtown washroom project, we have forwarded the RFP that's gone out. There was a conscious decision to remove, as I explained earlier, the washroom portions, and this report clearly states why. There's a real gamut from what can be offered. The prices, as we knew, can be pretty extreme. So, and obviously that will impact the funding application and the project as a whole. As you know, our application with the NOHFC is for a total project value of about $750,000. Out of that, money from Hydro One and the town as well. So I wanted kind of to get some feedback from this group in regards to, and also to show you the difference in what's available, and for us to understand what council is looking for, because obviously that could possibly tie up a big portion of the funding dollars if we're fortunate enough to get them. And then there's some lead time as well on that. So in the proposal, you'll see everything from a smart washroom, which, you know, is self-cleaning, is closed automatically. It's the Cadillac of public washrooms, all the way down to something that you would maybe classify as a glorified porta potty, so to speak. So hopefully you've read the report. Hopefully you've done some research. We are looking for feedback from council. We don't have to have the same at each location. They can be different, certainly. But it's really important, I think, for administration to kind of understand what council is wanting, so that we can move forward and bring back some further information. So happy to take any questions, and more specifically, looking for some direct comments and feedback from council.
Any questions for CAO Young? Any comments? Yes, Councillor Martin, it seems to be your thing here.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thanks, Jason. That was a good report. I guess in past, my kind of rule of thumb when people are bidding, and, you know, it's like throw out the low bid, throw out the high bid, and deal with, you know, something in the middle somewhere. So, you know, I see we have the Cadillac here, and I know that self-cleaning and, you know, nothing, I think we need to pick a middle of the road. Personally, I like the Vault from Miller Precast. I know some of those, that $10,000 one, that's probably similar to what I had forwarded you. You know, the concrete structure is going to be more robust, I think, and hopefully less susceptible to vandalism and such things like that. So I don't know how we're supposed to proceed here with this, but that's just my personal feeling.
I'll provide a little bit of information for that. The concern, or the caveat, I think, to the Miller quote is I believe it's just the structure. It's just the walls, if you will. We don't know the cost for plumbing, fixtures, because I think they are inherently designed for a highway-style vault sort of washroom. So I believe that the quote in there, and I think is about $79,000 for the two buildings. I would argue that that number will probably double, if not more, by the time you put in your fixtures and your plumbing and all of that. So I think that's the one caveat I would say with the Miller quote.
I thought I did see a floor in there. In that
Yeah, but in regards to like wiring, plumbing,
Yeah.
the toilet, the sink, and that, we would have to get all that done probably by another. I don't even know if Miller would supply that. We might even have to go to another party to provide that as well. So it's not a full quote in the sense that it's not a plug and play like the other ones.
Yeah.
Just to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
That's Councillor Stimson.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. Yeah, I'm looking at the. It's on. Whether we want it or whether we don't, and for the splash pad itself, and there's only, as far as I'm concerned, there's only two we can go with, and that's that one that's pretty plain Jane, and then the one that Councillor Martin was talking about. Even if the Miller one does go twice as high, it's still going to be quite a bit cheaper than the other ones. It's what we, I guess, if we want a fancy Dan kind of place, looks like a summer cabin, that's fine, but I don't think we can afford that, so we'll just have to go with what we can afford.
That's Councillor Shine.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. I think it's important to remember, unless the municipality is going to take over the cleaning of these porta potties, it is being done by volunteers. And I have had to put something on Facebook asking people to show a little bit more respect, because it is the volunteers that are cleaning these washrooms every day. So I think taking into consideration maybe something that is self-cleaning, so it doesn't become a burden on both the volunteers or the municipality.
Just if I can provide a follow-up, and I appreciate the comment, Councillor Shine. I think that's a caveat that administration has been pushing all along, is to say that, there's been a strong push and clear direction to move forward with public washrooms. And the concern from an administration standpoint is that means, that the responsibility of ongoing maintenance, possibility of vandalism and all the negative connotations that could come with these structures. There's also the operational challenges that we really have not figured out yet, and that's how are they being locked, when are they being locked, by who are they being locked, what about issues that arise on the weekend, what about the cleaning. We do not have the staff to patrol these buildings, twice a week, 3 times a week, never mind cleaning them every day. They're not going to be done to that level, and that's the challenge. And that's why I'd mentioned before is, we might even have to consider a custodial staff town-wide that we can lump this into, and that's the other concern. So if money wasn't an object, I absolutely would be pushing for the self-cleaning ones, just for all of the reasons that I just mentioned. But as Councillor Stimson said, I think that would actually probably derail the entire project, because 80% of the funds would be directed to these two structures. So I don't know if that's realistic or not, but I think Council has to understand that if we are going to move forward and we're going to have these public washrooms, that there is going to be an ongoing maintenance and costs involved in that as well. Thank you.
Councillor Knowles.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. I wholeheartedly agree with everything Jason's just said. I get back to the self-cleaning as a necessary part of it, because you are looking at ongoing costs in perpetuity in order to have these, and relying on volunteers is unfair to them. And There's really no point in doing this project if we can't do it right the first time, if we're going to cheap out on it. At the splash pad, you have to have a double. It's not up for debate. You can't have one single change room with, 30 or 40 kids trying to change after a program. If it was my choice and I had to say, get two that are non-self-cleaning or one that is self-cleaning, I would take the one that is self-cleaning every time. Just logistically, it makes more sense for the community, for the staff who have to take care of it, not relying on volunteers, and having something at a splash pad, which we've identified from day one is a community need, and making sure that that site is done properly, and not trying to do more than we might have the capability for, and whether that means us going back at a later time and looking at a second washroom and securing funding for that, and putting together a package that lets us do that properly as well. I don't understand our need to try and do this as cheaply as possible to get as much done, because I'd rather see us do it right once and secure this so future generations don't have to be coming down the road and having to fix all the things that we kind of just did a half job on in the interest in saving a few dollars today, or having this project not broken up into two pieces. So that's my 2 cents on it, and I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Councillor Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. I'm with Councillor Knowles. I would not like to see this take the cheap end. And just as a thought, we have all this landfill tipping fees coming in. We should maybe earmark some of that to this project in the future. But I agree, we shouldn't go cheap.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. So far, when Councillor Knowles was talking about, he said a place for 40 kids to change in. Are we building it, did you want to build a change room or a washroom? Like, if you're looking just for a place for people to change, it doesn't have to have a toilet and all that in it. Like, yeah, there is a bathroom at the Legion, at the library.
I can provide comment. The intent is not to build a change room per se. It's not a pool. And we've seen presentations from the city now where they don't have anything other than a porta potty. So it's not to that degree. What the thought was is you have to build an accessible washroom anyway. So the washroom would be large enough to have, say, a baby change table. One could bring, the 3 or 4 little ones with them and change in that regard, but it wouldn't be a change room per se. It's just a larger accessible washroom would be the intent. The second washroom was, again, just that whole discussion about having the need for public washrooms, right? So you could have a second washroom, maybe it wouldn't be as large, but it would still be an accessible washroom. And then thirdly, depending on the package that we go with the splash pad, we may need a small utility room for pumps and electrical stuff and that sort of thing. So that was the thought of why, like, the larger building at the splash pad, whereas the Marks or the Main Street property could be a simple one stall accessible washroom.
Okay, then do we have to have a washroom over there? People go to the go to the lake. They don't have a change room there. What do? People go to the splash pad. There's no change room there. What do? I think if this washroom is going to kibosh the splash pad, let's just do the splash pad for now and do the washroom when we can afford it, and do it right. But if we're going to do it right and we have to have both, we're not going to do either. The splash pad's going to go down the tube, and there's no sense then for the washroom. So I'd like to see just the splash pad, get that thing done for the kids, and then we can go along with the washroom after. One washroom is good downtown somewhere, but it doesn't have to be over there with a splash pad and spoil the whole idea of the splash pad ever getting built. I can see that we're going to be talking about it, and it's going to be, some of these kids' grandkids might be able to use that splash pad by the time it's built. If we start going Cadillac with a washroom and all this stuff with it.
Councillor Knowles.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. I think you do have to have a washroom there. When you're at the lake, people pee in the bush. I don't really want to see people pee in, well, the library, you're restricted, A, to the library hours, B, to the safety and the insurance liability of the library, C, to the staff, and D, to the wet floors. You're going to have people coming in and out of the library. It's open 12 to 5 on certain days of the week. So you're looking at, you know, an extra onus on them, or you have it based on the hours of the splash pad being open. I don't think there's anything wrong with having a washroom with a splash pad if it comes at the expense of having a washroom, you know, 100 meters down the street as well. And it doesn't have to be 2 washrooms. It needs to be at least 1 handicap accessible washroom with at least 1 or 2 change rooms attached to it, because there is some, you know, modicum of privacy for changing at a splash pad. So I don't think it needs to take forever to do. I think we just have 2 different visions on this, and which one is going to prevail so we can get this done. Thanks.
Sure, 2 comments. One, I mean, you can certainly have a more expensive washroom in one location, and you can have a trimmed down version in another location. And I think when we talk about the debate of what location needs a washroom more, and I think I hear that more and more, and I think there's conflicting stories about that, and it's been discussed at length in this room. I think personally, in administration-wise, if you're talking about the need, I tend to agree with Councilor Knowles that if there's probably more of a need, or there's more arguments on the table to say that having a public washroom located next to a splash pad makes sense versus I haven't yet to hear a solid reason why a washroom on Main Street would trump that. There could be a need for both. Sure, fine. But I think if you were getting down to a point saying, well, we're only going to pick one location, I don't understand the logic to say that we need it on Main Street, but we wouldn't need it next to this recreation facility. That's my one comment. My second comment is that if you look at the quotes, I mean, for probably $20,000, we can put a public washroom on Main Street very quickly, very easily, connect it, and again, if it worked, great. If we felt that we needed to upgrade it, certainly we could take that washroom, we could put it at the ballpark, we could put it somewhere else. It wouldn't be a bad investment to spend the money on that. It's going to solve the immediate need, and then will allow us to know if we need to upgrade that or if it's content. I see logic in behind that. And then as far as for the location at the splash pad, if we are going to need one that has a little more room, and then maybe, like I said, a utility room or something like that, I would say wiser to spend your dollars at that location. Still provide something at the second location if that's councilor's direction, and then take it from there. You know, review it in a year and in 2 years, and then see where we're at. Is my thoughts.
Councilor Shine.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. This is probably jumping ahead a bit. So the splash pad goes over by the library, correct? Has the washrooms. The library, I'm assuming, correct me if I'm wrong, will be responsible for maintaining it, the staff?
Absolutely.
Or, that's what I'm asking, will it be run strictly on their hours, or will they be run by another employee? Is it going to be only open when the library is open during the summer? Like,
Sure.
I mean, I know you haven't
No,
gotten
for
that
sure.
far, but-
Valid questions, and I'll try my best to answer it. So I think, in a sense, that there was original discussions with the ad hoc committee that locating it at that location, there were synergies with the library in regards to the outdoor events and that they do. It will not be a library asset. It will not be their responsibility to go and clean the washrooms or to hose it down or anything like that. But it will possibly correlate with their hours of operation, just for ease of just having it open. So, you know, you wouldn't want it open, you know, at 10 o'clock at night sort of thing, right? So those were the discussions, but in regards to maintenance and that, it would not fall under the library. It would just be a town park, town asset sort of thing. And those discussions, again, like I said, will have to continue regarding who will be ultimately responsible for the ongoing maintenance.
Okay, and when will we get the final, fitted into the budget, not saying final, but the underground costs, if you want to call it that?
So that's the RFP. So the request proposals have gone out currently right now. So when those firms submit it, they will break that down into what those costs are.
Perfect, thank you.
So as far as hours of operation, it's basically turning a valve on, turning a valve off. That is the hours of operation. The library said that they would adjust their hours to try to facilitate running more. The ones that I looked at, and I talked to different municipalities, they're not supervised. The water is turned on, there's a sign that says the splash pad is open from noon till 6 each day. And the water gets turned on at 12 and the water gets shut off at 6. It's not, and when the water's, there's no supervision, so when someone comes, there's a button you push, the water turns on, it's on for 10 minutes and it shuts off. If someone wants to keep going, then they push the button again and it goes for another 10 minutes. So it's not a big onerous thing that it has to be supervised and managed, and there's just a time when someone goes in and turns the water on, and end of the day, they go and turn the water off. So that's how the splash pad works. As far as the washrooms, whatever we want to do on that's separate than the splash pad. So, yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be when the library is open. If the library has someone that turns the water on, turns the water off, then, but it is the municipality's right to, or obligation, whatever you want to say, is to put hours of operation. It's not, like Jason said, it's not 24/7 where it runs all the time. There's a sign, there's rules. Flash pad turns on now, shuts off then, and that's how that works. So, Councillor Stimson.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. Could we not put out a contract to for a cleaner, to, you know, someone that would say, okay, I'll come in there every second day and clean?
Sure, we've done that, and we have contracts for the clinic, for the town hall, for the library. It is very difficult to find people to put in those proposals. But when the time comes, and when, like, sometimes you get none, or you'll only have one. So there's that, and then there's just the discussion of, you know, just all the buildings, right? So what administration will do moving forward, we'll bring forward a report to have a broader conversation about janitorial services for the entire corporation, including now this new added infrastructure at that time. So it's certainly one of those options, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. After understanding the Miller quote better, this, I got to agree with Councillor Stimson that we don't want to risk losing the splash pad because we're buying these fancy outhouses, or porta potties, sorry, let's not use that word. I have seen these the cherry bathrooms here. I've been in them, I've seen them at auction. They're quite nice, they're cozy. You know, if we can buy 5 of those for 1 Miller outhouse, you could put one at the ballpark, you could put one on Main. You could use 2 at the splash pad with the shower and call that a change room, but maybe not have the shower hooked up. These are 3 seasonal buildings. Shut them off in the fall, drain them, whatever you have to do, right? Self-cleaning doesn't mean self-fixing. So these things are inevitably, they're going to break down. And then what? Then the toilet is locked down until we can find somebody that can go and repair this thing and change the motherboard or whatever, you know, runs all this high-tech equipment. So anybody that's had a breakdown in their own home with their appliances will know how frustrating that could be. So, you know, I would tend, I mean, I really like the self-cleaning thing. We aren't Los Angeles, we're not San Diego, and other communities that have a lot of wealth that can have the trades that can fix this immediately, because we'll be without a bathroom. If the self-cleaning feature stops working, then we're done, right? So, I mean, I'm kind of leaning towards the cherry now after listening to everybody talking here, so I don't want to risk losing the splash pad. We have to remember that we have old 45-gallon drums as garbage cans on Main Street, so we don't need $1 million bathroom beside that garbage can, okay? Sorry, I just cut the grass on the green space today, and I'm looking at these old 45-gallon drum garbage cans. Okay?
Sorry, Councillor Johnson, I'll go to you next, but I just want to kind of comment something that Councillor Martin said and CEO Young said is if we did the cherry industrial and then for that amount of money, and then 2 years down the line, this isn't working for us, we need something better. Then we move it, we do something else, and lesson learned, and then we'll take that next step. But to go right off the bat and go with the Cadillac doesn't,
Yeah.
it might be overkill on something, and I think to Councillor Stimpson's point, if we temper our expectations and we get the splash pad and we get everything done, and then a couple of years later, it's like, maybe we need something better. This isn't working. The cost is too much to clean it. It's not working. Then we make that move. But I think we temper our expectations first. Councillor Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. With running the fear of using language blacksmithing, I totally agree with what Jason has said about the $20,000. If that's going to save the pad, let's do it that way.
Let's go with that.
It seems like that seems to be the consensus so far, is to go that way.
Jason.
If I can, and I appreciate your comments, Councilor Martin, because I completely agree with you. I think that, like you said, if something goes wrong, they are closed down. And I do fully agree that I think the cherry options for Main Street will work, if not temporary, but at least will give us an opportunity. I'm going on record by saying I'm concerned about vandalism, concerned about a lot of things with this project, period. But I would rather have us invest $25,000 versus hundreds of thousands of dollars. My only other thing I'll point you to is on page 4 of the presentation from Crescent Engineering is the Scotty Pine portables. When we look at what the Scotty Pine portables do, and I look at the second photo there, it reminds me of the Pioneer Center, and it reminds me of the look in that area. So if we were to look at having a more purpose-built structure by the pad, and I'm thinking for the maintenance room or the electrical room, plus the couple washrooms, and at 122 and change, might be a more permanent fixture there, because again, the cherry options are kind of temporary and kind of portable, whereas I want to put your attention to what they're building there, and if something like that would aesthetically fit in the area, match our existing buildings, and then also provide the same service. Just my thoughts. Wanted to direct your attention to it for comments.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. I'm just looking for some clarification because I feel like we're going in 100 different directions here at once. Are people wanting the Cherry Industrial in the downtown location, but something separate at the splash pad? Or are they wanting the Cherry Industrial everywhere? Or what? Like, I'm kind of confused now where we're going with this, so we got to...
Concur with CO Young is that we do the small one on Main Street, and we go a little bit more. That's going to be a little more aesthetically pleasing and fit with the area at the splash pad. And then, after the next council, after a couple of years of getting some data, they can realize, do we need 2? Do we want to go with a better one on Main Street? But I think this idea of going with the Scotty Pine on the splash pad area and then the Cherry on Main Street, I think serves 2 possibilities there. So that would be the way I'm leading towards. Councillor Shine.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. So we get past this thing. So say we decide as a council that we're going to do the $20,000 project on Main Street, correct? How does that affect your grant? Are we dependent upon that grant to get this $20,000, or is it hidden somewhere in the budget?
No, great question. Thank you. So we have temporarily put in $100,000 because for the NOHFC application, they needed that breakdown. So we had put about $100,000 in there as a placeholder, obviously letting them know that it might be a little bit more, a little bit less sort of thing. But the thought is built within that would be both washrooms. So the smaller one on Main Street, and then the other one on the pad. Having said that, there's future budgets and there's future monies that if council decide to do something different, most certainly we can. But as far as funding goes, we've earmarked $100,000. I mean, there's a little bit of flexibility there. It could be a little bit more, but because again, we're going for a total of $750,000, right? Which will be more than enough to build the splash pad and all the infrastructure and everything. So I feel like we could certainly put both of them in both locations in the grant.
Okay.
Okay, hopefully this is my last comment. Regarding the Naughty Pine and the aesthetically looking building, you're gonna pay $110,000 for a peaked roof and a couple posts and maybe some Naughty Pine siding, which could be added to the Cherry bathroom. I like the idea of buying the same things and then you can expect the same problems and maybe, so I mean, if you want it to look like the Pioneer Center, it would be easy to dress that Cherry building up to look like the Pioneer Center. You have to understand that these handrails that are depicted in this, in the Cherry page are probably not included. It's just the building. So you're gonna build your own, I mean, it's flat on the ground. You don't need handrails, right? So I see the Naughty Pine's got a bit of an awning over it, stuff like that, which, I mean, it's easy to do that if we really wanted.
Yeah, just as a follow-up, I think it was less about the aesthetics of it, but more that they're custom built so that we could have one that had the maintenance room. We could integrate that into the infrastructure of the splash pad itself, and then put the two structures. I believe it is a more permanent structure though than the Cherries,
Okay.
right? Whereas that's the only reason. It wasn't because it looks like the Pioneer.
Yeah, okay.
I just mean that by purpose building something there, I think that we would be able to have it would fit our needs better than just having a more temporary solution.
Yeah, fair enough.
That was the thought.
Fair enough, yeah.
And we could always go, like, do the Cherry one on Main Street, okay? We'll do that. And then when we get the RFP for the splash pad, see where that comes in. If we're up against the wall trying to fit all this in, maybe we go with the less expensive. If we have some wiggle room and we could do some extra things, then maybe we do the other one. I don't think we have to decide that today, but I think from what I am hearing, maybe I'm not hearing right, but if we do the plain one on Main Street, and then I would say we look at it when all the RFP comes in, if we got $650,000 to spend and the splash pad comes in and everything comes in at 400, maybe we do go a little wider. If we're up against the wall on funding, maybe we go with the lower end till we get all this. I think kind of towards Councillor Stimpson's point is let's do this. And if we got to have a contingency plan and, we'll go with, we'll figure out when we do the splash pad, we'll see how much room we have. We have two options.
And if I could just add on to that, and to your point, I think as far as timing goes, is that if we're getting clear direction for the Main Street project, we can actually do that right away. We don't have to wait for the RFPs for the splash pad and move forward. We will confirm with our funding that that eligible expenses spent now that would be able to be claimed, and then technically we could move forward on getting the Scotty one, just make that decision, get it installed, and then that's one thing done, and then focus our efforts, like the mayor said, in regards to be a little more purpose built once we have the total funding and what the pad or the splash pad itself comes in at, that we can build to that degree. Just another thought.
Okay. Councillor Knowles, last word.
Oh, boy, thank you. Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. Yeah, I'm totally in agreement on that. Let's just get this Cherry one in. I would like to see us do it the best one we can, and I'm hoping the RFPs reflect that. Regardless, I think we need to have some sort of strategy as far as cleaning goes. We cannot continue to rely on volunteers. Has to be some sort of long-term plan in place. We can't just dump this off onto people and hope for the best. It's great to have washrooms all over the place, but if they're not getting maintained for whatever reason, we're gonna look foolish, and that's gonna cause a lot of issues, and I don't think anybody here wants that. So I'd really like to see some sort of I don't know if it's a plan or just what those ongoing maintenance costs would look like, just so we have an idea and so future councils have an idea what we're committing to today looks like for them down the road. Thank you.
You can what if things to death, right? What if this happens? What if that happens? Sometimes you got to move forward and see where it falls after that. Okay? Is that direction for
Appreciate the direction.
you were looking for?
Yeah, we'll move forward. So just for confirmation, then we'll move forward. We'll purchase the appropriate, I'll just say cherry one for lack of a better word, but the more economical public washroom. And then I will give Crescent direction saying that basically based on, once the RFPs come in, that we're looking at something maybe similar to a Scotty Pine portable, purpose-built for the project. Appreciate the direction. Thank you.
Just to be clear, if I can, Mayor Ferguson, that is the accessible one, right? The cherry is.
Yeah, we're going to get the one that is the fully accessible. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, for another $1,000, you can get the shower and not use it, but, you know, if you want a bigger.
I don't think we want showers on Main
Oh,
Street.
no.
Oh, one last.
Okay.
Jason, if for whatever reason the RFPs don't come in within the threshold, is there opportunity to go back to NOHFC and request a higher upset limit on this? Or say we decide on a more expensive washroom, say the cost comes kind of in between? Is that an opportunity that we have, or is that 750 kind of, that's capped at based on?
So the 750 is the max 500,000 from NOHFC. So we are going for the max amount. So the project will have to be determined based on that, working backwards, sort of. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for that discussion. Next up is Lame Duck Council Restricted Acts, and I think this goes to Clerk Bates.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. So there's certain restrictions if council is in a lame duck situation after August 19th. So there's certain things that they cannot do. And what we have done in the past is we have delegated the authority to the CAO, and that is our recommendation again. Now, we would only use it if we are in lame duck, and if we're not, we won't. But we would like to bring a bylaw forward at the next council meeting to delegate certain stuff to the CAO during lame duck, if there's any questions.
Questions regarding that? That's basic standard
Yes,
policy. This is what we've done,
yes,
what we always done,
yes,
what we always do.
yes.
Okay? Yes, Councillor Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. It says in restrictions B, the hiring or dismissal of any employee of the municipality. Is that going to affect the hiring for the two positions, Tyler?
No.
I believe that we'll have the current postings closed and brought to council before lame duck would take effect, so it should be okay.
Okay, thank you.
And if I may add to, if Jason is he's delegated the authority, he does have the authority to hire or fire. But like we said in the bylaw, he will be coming to council with a report. And what he usually does anyways is he'll come and talk to you first before he does something. So it's not like he's going to run wild or anything.
Thank you, Clerk.
Great. And next is meeting dates for July and August.
Yes, we should probably lock down a couple dates and for the summer. So that's what we want to talk about.
Just on past practice, council only meets normally one time each month in July and August. Not to say that we can't get together if there is something pressing that we need to, but
Right.
we can lock some dates down. Any suggestions, or do you want to bring that to the next meeting?
No, our one suggestion in July would be July 13th. It's a Monday. There's only one meeting.
32nd.
Now, the only thing, we were talking about August, I don't want to say the date, but we were thinking August 10th. Now, I know that's Bass Classic Week, but Mayor Ferguson and the CAO are gone on the 17th. Nomination closes on the 21st, so we could be in lame duck as of the 21st. We could have a council meeting on the 24th, but we just weren't really sure, so we're not sure what you guys want to do.
Yeah, the lame duck was the concern, because the 24th is the usual date, but
Councillor Stimson.
Yeah,
Councillor Shine?
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. I'm in agreement with what Councillor Stimson saying.
So we'll pen those two dates in.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And we'll move to finance. Financial report period ending May 31st. Treasurer Colson.
Okay, so you have May's report in front of you, if there's any questions.
Any questions? And I know some of these numbers with the taxation and things, money that we've recouped isn't reflected on this, right? That's only the first blush on taxation revenue.
Yeah, so goes up to May. So this is only what we've billed to date.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions regarding that? We got lots here, so. We'll move on to 2026 budget, tax rates, and ratios.
Okay, so if you recall, the budget was passed in February, and this is just the paperwork. The bylaw will go to the next meeting with the rates and ratios. Nothing has changed since it was passed in February.
Any questions? I'm sure everybody had a good opportunity to go through all that. There's some big ticket items with the bridge, but the bridge is progressing very well. I think we're doing well on that. And some of the money, the capital budget projects is left over from last year, if I'm mistaken on that one. Is the next big hitter on that for roads. Any questions, comments on that? There's a lot of information there. And you can see the general revenues is way up, and that's due to the tipping fees. Is that correct? For projected tipping fees?
Yeah, it depends on which report you're looking at.
I'm looking at the 2026 budget, tax rates and ratios, and the revenues, the bar graph.
Okay, yeah. So general revenues doesn't have landfill in there. It's in the solid waste, kind of in the middle of the chart.
Oh, okay.
Almost off the chart.
Yes.
And also important, just to draw your attention to, pages aren't numbered here, but under typical property net year-over-year municipal tax change, for a single detached residence RT, the 2% tax rate increase equates to about a $61 increase in someone's average taxes. So it's important to note that.
Okay. No comments on that. We'll go to surplus goods asset sale. Treasurer Colson again.
Okay, again, so you have the report in front of you. We did the surplus sale, the results.
When it says 19 out of 63 items were sold, is there any bigger items that aren't sold, or is there possible any changes to that going forward?
Well, what we're looking at doing is, so generally what we do every few years, we have a sale and we try and get rid of everything. But because we have so many items, we're thinking of basically treating it like surplus property and having an ongoing list. And because we've also done a surplus sale, and then 6 months later, somebody comes to us and says, oh, I want that. Well, the sale's over, you know, so we're looking at having an ongoing list of mainly the smaller items. That's what's left.
And that would be with a minimum bid, or be up to you, the discretion?
Yeah, we haven't done the details yet. Generally, like with surplus property, we just leave it open. We just reject it if it's not worth it.
Councillor Stimson.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. I was on council back when we decided to take over the waste management, and we purchased $118,000 worth of material. What did we get for return on that $118,000 when we sold it all? The garbage truck, bin truck, and bins. Because at that time, we were told we should be able to get that whole $118,000 back when we sold the roll-off truck and the bins, just those two.
Well, I mean, I don't know what the market was like back then, but it's not great now. So it was in the report, it says 40,467.
That's for everything.
That's the total, sorry. So the 39,686.50 was the larger items, the equipment and.
Pardon me, Gandhi?
The 39,686.50 was for the landfill equipment and bins and stuff like that.
Because I'd heard 10 and 2, and I never heard anything for the bins. So I don't know. The bins must have gone for a pretty high price then. I don't know. It just seemed like we sure didn't. That didn't last very long. That for 118,000. But anyways, it's done. It's just sad.
Jason, you want to say something?
Sure. The market will bear what the market will bear. I mean, in a perfect world, you know, we always, it's like when you're trying to sell your used vehicle, you always think that there's more value in it than someone's willing to pay. We try to put it out there with minimum bids, and we didn't receive any bids close to that, so we were forced to put them to auction. So, and then the auction is you know, just whatever you can get sort of thing. I think if we go back to, and Councillor Simpson wants to refer back to the change of contracts and providing, I'm still quite pleased and quite confident that the decision that was made by council at the time was the right decision. I think that the money invested was well done. We used this equipment for several years. We did get some money back on that. And if you remember, there was a time where we were renting a garbage truck at the tune, I think, of about $10,000 a month. So it doesn't take long to spend that money. And I think that what we did is we took the business over, we successfully transferred it over, and then we're at a point now where we've been able to upgrade some equipment and then kind of carry on as business as usual. So I hope, looking back, Councillor Simpson believes that all of that went well and that it was money well spent, and there was money back from that.
It's just that it wasn't long after we bought them that they were not roadworthy, apparently.
I think we used them for over 2 years, if I'm not mistaken, 2 full years.
For 118,000, they should last more than 2 years. But anyways,
Pretty good value.
Any more comments on that? Thank you for that. And the last one is surplus property.
Okay, this is a property, 318 O'Brien. When it was a failed tax sale, we deliberately did not put it up for surplus because there were issues we need to investigate. That's all rectified now, so we just want to recommend it to surplus, so there will be a resolution at the council meeting.
any comments, questions? Is there more to come? I know we have a lot of houses and I get asked all the time, is this just one of many that are coming out? I know we had a discussion about putting up the low-hanging fruit and getting those moving. Is there any plans or any timelines going forward for other properties that
We
people
only have about,
interested in?
we have about 4 or 5 maybe that aren't currently advertised. Everything is surplus. Once this is done, they will all be surplus. So we're supposed to meet this week, I think, to deal with the other properties to advertise.
Yeah, what we'll do is, we always try and be fair in the sense that we'll put them out there. We'll say, well, we're open for bids for 2 weeks, and at the end of the 2 weeks, we'll look at all the bids that we've received and then come with recommendations on that. So I think it might be three or four. But now that this is done, then we'll get them out there and advertise them, and then maybe we'll be fortunate enough to get rid of a few of them. And these are fixer-uppers. These are not by any means, move-in
yeah.
material.
Well understood. It's just that, like, I could probably see 3 or 4 on my way home today.
Oh, sure, so that's a different matter completely. So what we're talking about right now are the current properties that we own and that are deemed surplus. I think what you're referring to as tax sale properties, and that there's a whole process of that with the department where you're providing notices, and then generally it's over a year before that you would have that tax sale. So separate matter, duly noted, and I believe finance is starting to look at that as well, so.
We have started, or you believe?
Well, it's ongoing. I think that there's been some discussion, but to answer your question, we have not registered any new properties yet this year, I think is a fair statement.
When would we be registering them? Because my understanding is once you register, it's a minimum of 1 year. Is that correct? Yep. So every day we wait pushes that down. Those houses get worse shape. People get frustrated. Neighbors get frustrated because they got an eyesore beside them and someone wants to buy that, but we're not moving forward to facilitate this happening.
Like we discussed, I can start registrations tomorrow, but we would have to delay the audit.
We'd have to what?
Delay the audit. So I have to prioritize somehow.
Yeah. I've been hearing that since I've been mayor, that we're working on audits. We can't do it. Can't 2 things be true? Can't we do this and do that? I know we only have so many people and we are working towards it, but can't we start doing something? Can't we put out a notice to the people that are 5 years in delinquent on their taxes? Nobody's lived there for 5 years. The person, the estate threw the keys on the table and says, I don't want to have anything to do with this. Take it, it's yours. Can't we start on 1, 2, 3, at least start? If you'd ever start, you'll never get finished. So why don't we at least try starting? Let's do 1 a month. Let's do 1 every 2 weeks. Let's do something instead of, because now it's going to be, we're working on the 2024 audit, then we'll be working on the 2025 audit, then we'll be working on the budget for 2027, and then we'll be working on the audit for 2026, and then I'll be sitting here in 2028 and 29, and it'll be, well, we're working on the audit, we're doing this, we're doing that. I'd just like to see some movement on some of these empty, delinquent houses that people are interested in, that we're losing money every day by not doing anything, and then get something done that people can see that we are actually doing something about this situation.
The internal notices are in progress, but the contractor work and the registrations, everybody has to be treated the same. You can't give some people extra time than others. But so that will be done. If we're having an audit in July, the next audit, I'm not going to have time for anything else.
Okay.
I don't know that That hasn't been confirmed yet, but if they come back and say, well, I can't come back till November, then I'll have some time, and depending on the current backlog, because again, from working on the audits, our current backlog just continues to grow.
Well, I understand. I understand there's lots of work. I just don't understand how much time it would take to register a property. Is it like weeks of one person's time to register?
Well, it's not just one property. There are, and then the phone calls start, and then the calculations start, because you have to, if they want to enter into a tax extension agreement, then all of the documents have to be prepared, and all of the schedules have to be figured out. So once that progress starts, the phone doesn't stop ringing, and all of the administration of it has to be done.
Okay. I would just like to cherry pick some low-hanging fruit and move on some properties, that's all. And I'm sorry.
We do have a few low-hanging fruit that I've been intending to do, but again, haven't gotten to it. But there are a couple properties that should have been registered already.
Councillor Knowles.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. Jason, is there an opportunity to use a third party? Do other municipalities utilize a legal firm or a collection agency or some firm? Because I would imagine in some larger centers, it's a pretty onerous task and probably takes up like someone's whole time. Just in lieu of that, and knowing how busy people are and that the tasks at hand are of a priority. So is there an opportunity to do that, or has it been
So
explored?
there is a company, Real Tax, and we do use them. The point I think that Treasurer Colson is bringing up is all the pre-work up to that, right? So they'll take it to, once you get to a point where you can actually register, then yeah, you hand it over to them and they do the bulk of the work, but it's the notices and there's a certain amount of work that we have to do internally before it can get partied out, but absolutely, we do utilize Real Tax for that process, yeah.
Okay, great, thank you.
When it comes to the tax extension agreements and the arrangement making, then yes.
I think I spoke enough on that topic. Public Works, Airport Waste Management, Bass Classic Municipal Expenditures. Tyler?
Yeah, not much to comment on beyond what's included in the report here. Again, we were just asked to get sort of a tally here and figure out what it is that the town puts into this. So just the caveat that this is by and large just the Public Works Department on like a front end level. This doesn't include for administration, you know, the time that I put in, the time that our foreman put in. The benefits aren't included, but just to give you guys an idea.
Any questions on that? So just north of $13,000 all in, where,
Yeah, that's correct. And again,
and that's with the caveat of your other,
yeah, and that's also with the understanding that some of that is just missed revenue. It's not actually necessarily incurred expenses, right? So it was about 50-50 in terms of we have an event that if we were charging out all of our fees, we'd probably come in about net zero, but we're not doing that. So we're losing out on the fees and we're paying those direct costs to the employees. So yeah, it's just something that we were asked to provide. So giving it to you guys for information.
appreciate that. Any comments, questions on that? Pardon me, Counselor? Okay, seeing nothing on the agenda, we will adjourn the meeting at 5:45 and we'll take a 5-minute break. Okay, I declare this meeting closed.